Hi, today our topic is why itemized deduction needs to be fixed. My name is Yanting and this is Helle. First, we will talk about what's the problems of itemized deduction. And second, we'll bring up a new proposal to avoid all those problems. There are three problems that itemized deduction could possibly have. The first one is it might be too difficult for people to understand. In order to report itemized deduction, you need to fill in a whole nother new form, which is Schedule A. There are a lot of lines in Schedule A, so there's a lot of chance for taxpayer to get confused. There is a case about Johnson. He was convicted to 26 counts of aiding and assisting in preparation of false tax return and 2 counts of filing false tax returns. The second reason would be that itemized deduction enables taxpayer to avoid the tax liability, since there are a lot. The taxpayer might potentially include more deduction than they could have to avoid tax liability or to gain bigger tax benefit. In the tax case, Mr. Lee, he changed the returns by adding falsely itemized deduction in order to generate large income tax refund of $450,000. He was sentenced to 39 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. The third reason would be
we feel like there's a lot of reasons why a tax preparer would try to mislead a client. First of all, they want to retain them as a client, and also they can charge more fees to the client if they get larger deductions, and which leads to a larger return for their clients. A lot of clients don't understand the laws because they are very complicated, like we talked about, and the average person would have a lot of difficulty going through the instructions and filling out Schedule A on their own. Tax professionals look for ways they can get larger returns, and one way is through a Schedule A because they can exaggerate numbers and try to find documents to somewhat support their cases. And we feel like it's a large problem with itemized deductions because just from some cases we've seen where tax preparers have found $500,000 of deductions to put on an itemized deduction on Schedule A, when it turned out that all $500,000 was not applicable to Schedule A in the first place. So our solution would be just eliminate itemized deductions on Schedule A altogether. We feel like this would eliminate a lot of that temptation by tax preparers to commit fraud, and also individuals doing their own taxes wouldn't have the same temptation to over-exaggerate their claims on the Schedule A. We feel like moving to a more standard deduction like what we currently have for people that don't choose the itemized deduction would be a better option, but we would make some changes to the standard deduction to make it more equal to all taxpayers. The current standard deduction is only based on your filing status. We would move to where it'd still be somewhat based on your filing status, but it'd also take into account your income level. So you could get higher earners will get higher deductions, but they will still not be able to get the excessive amount of deductions like they could before, and it also won't be able to put their over-exaggerated claims on there. We'd move to like more yes or no questions for other types of deductions. They are more subjective, and since they are yes or no, and they have to provide documentation to why they are yes or no, they won't be able to calculate their own numbers and misstate claims like they could before. So like it will be based somewhat on your filing status, but it also take into account your income and your dependents just like before, but it'll eliminate a lot of the gray areas that we currently operate in.
So this is an example about how the improved version of standard deduction we like. First, we still have filing status like the current standard deduction, but we add more criteria like dependent and adjusted gross income. And all those criteria will lead you to a settled amount of standard deduction, which will be your final standard deduction. And this is our presentation. Thank you.